Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a new Blacklist discussion. And, we all know there are so many questions associated with this show, but the biggest question, the mother of all questions, who is Raymond Reddington?
Who is he?
We've done, I don't know how many videos on this subject before, but what's going to make this one different is we're going to talk about this question in the context of what we have just learned over the past year or so. If you want to hear about, the Sea Duke theory, you want to hear about Neville Townsend theories, is Reddington, the real Reddington's brother, we'll link those videos below. We're not focused on that here.
No, today we're going to get into sort of more recent, what has been revealed and where that can go to revealing who he actually is.
We'll talk about a few familiar ideas. The Reddington is the real Red theory. Reddington is Katarina, the Redarina theory, if you subscribe to that. Or also one that we've thought a lot about lately, that maybe Reddington is Katarina's sibling, a twin. Yeah, everybody loves a good twin theory, right?
Yeah.
Okay, well, before we dive into this stuff, if you guys enjoy this video, subscribe, hit that button because we are so close to 43,000.
Yeah, it is the best way to help support us. It would be awesome to reach that milestone with your guys' help. So hit that subscribe button, and it also keeps you in the loop for whenever we're doing more Blacklist stuff, and we are doing lots.
We may not know who number one is on the Blacklist, but you guys are number one in our hearts. I've been saving that one. We appreciate you guys for all of your support. Now we dive into theory number one.
Yeah. Is red really just red? You see is what you get. It's actually Reddington.
If you've been watching this channel for a while, this is probably the one I subscribe to the most. We've also been kind of on board the idea that Reddington is Reddington's brother or some other twin there. We'll link that below as well. But this is all about Reddington is the real Red. It's the biggest pro for this is just simply that emotional bond between Reddington and Liz. It makes the most sense that he would go so far out of his way to protect her, to try to keep her safe. He seems to know so much about the history of the real Reddington and everything this man went through. Either he deserves like an A+ gold star on the refrigerator for like his work detailing this character, or it's actually the real Red who has somehow evolved from just like the boring persona he supposedly was many, many years beforehand.
Yeah, which would make Reddington her father. So he would be this invested in her, and that would all make sense. And I know that there's a lot of people out there are kind of like, well, that's what we all thought sort of from the beginning. That's kind of the most realistic, maybe a bit boring sort of idea that this is just her dad, but it really makes sense. And if that's where they're going to go with it, I mean, personally, I'm not going to be that mad at it because that is a bond that makes the most sense. However, if it is sort of, Reddington, not actually Reddington, he could just be manipulating Liz. And, we've seen him come in with a lot of information. He could be a guy who's come in with a lot of information, and he's just using that sort of idea. And he did for a little while of, maybe I am Reddington kind of thing. Maybe it is the father sort of thing, because Liz is an orphan. She didn't grow up with her parents. She grew up with an adoptive father, which, is a different type of relationship, still an important relationship, but she still didn't grow up with her mom and her dad. So sort of coming in and using that idea of, oh man, she didn't have her parents. Now I'm coming in with sort of that feeling of a parent a little bit, that maybe that's a way to then sort of manipulate the situation more, especially with the new information of this sort of archive in N13. And if she has the archive or she is the archive, that is why Reddington would be there as well.
The archive complicates things a little bit for me. I'm not off this theory. Like I just want to believe this theory because it's satisfying to me, but yeah. It is that notion of, I long wondered, okay, well, why would an imposter Reddington work this hard to protect Liz? What could she have that is so important? But the archive, if you are an imposter and this is as valuable as it supposedly is, if she's got it in her scar or whatever other theory we've talked through with this, yeah, of course the imposter is going to come up with some sort of fake scheme in order to make all of this work. And, they have told us over and over again that the real Reddington is dead, and they would have a lot of explaining to do if he's not, but they can do whatever they want, let's be honest here.
Absolutely they can.
This is the Blacklist, and they can explain everything from memories to DNA to anything and everything in between, so it can happen.
All right, let's talk about the Red Arena theory, that Reddington is Katarina, and that is the theory, that they are the same person.
Yeah.
So the case for this is that sort of heartfelt talk that we saw Dom have with Red and Katarina, both about the archive, Katarina from the past and all that sort of thing that was going on, and sort of the blending of these two characters in Dom's mind as he's talking to both of them. So, could that be it then? I mean, there are some actual threads that make this possible.
They really did lean into it a lot on this past episode.
Yeah, that one sentence of, who has it? Oh, both Katarina and Reddington. So for me, I thought, oh, okay, well, that means Liz, because she's a product of both of them. That's their kid. But if we're leaning into the Red Arena theory, here it is. Both of them have it. They are the same person.
And you could also certainly read Reddington talking to Dom and, right before Dom dies and saying, Katarina loves you very much. Like, okay, well, why is Reddington speaking for her? He is her. That makes, I guess, a certain amount of sense. Like, I get why people are pro Red Arena. I don't subscribe to this theory as much, but I understand it.
Yeah, I understand it. It's not where I think they're going with it, but I get why people are seeing that in the show, because there are threads there.
Here is the big sort of thing I'm a little bit concerned about with this theory, and this is something that I don't think we've talked that much on the channel about. Mm-hmm. I went back and watched a little bit of Orion Relocation Services, which I can never say out loud, but that episode from Season 7 where you had Ilya's memories being picked apart in Belgrade, and in that segment, Katarina's new husband Pyotr gets blown up, but after the fact, Ilya and Dom have a conversation where they talk about cluing in Reddington. So this is set after Rostova, after supposedly, if I'm to take that story literally, Reddington is born, Reddington is back out there, Katarina is not Reddington at that time. So this gets kind of messy. If Katarina is Reddington, we would have basically had the real Red, someone else would have become Red after Rostova for a while, and then Katarina would have had to have gotten rid of that Reddington and then become Reddington later in order for that to work. That is a lot to ask of this show.
It is a lot to ask the show, but if we lean into the whole Reddington is N13 and that sort of thing, maybe we can go back into the idea of it's like a James Bond 007. It's sort of like a moniker that keeps moving on to people. So that started with an original Reddington, and then now you're James Bond Reddington 007, next person, and then next person, and so forth.
I mean, they didn't actually show us Reddington during that sort of period with Belgrade is happening, so maybe they're finding a way to try to write all of this in, but it's really going to feel like they're like pulling like this giant rabbit out of a really, really tiny hat if they try to explain all of this and make it make sense.
Yeah. Okay, so the last theory we're going to talk about is that Katarina and Reddington are siblings or they're fraternal twins.
This one, I like this theory, at least at first, but the more I started to think a little bit about it, the more it started to unravel in my head.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, yeah, there is a bond with Dom, with both of them, and that would make sense if they're both his kids.
That part of it is fully understandable, that, okay, if this is a sibling of Katarina, it would explain a little bit, the relationship that Reddington has with Ilya, because supposedly they're childhood friends, and if it's the real Red, supposedly he didn't grow up in Russia. How would have they been bros way back in the day?
Yeah, I mean, but that, is that true or not true?
Yeah.
Did he grow up there? Did he not? I mean, he's got a lot of stories, and while he may not lie to Liz, he lies to other people, so who knows exactly what is true?
The biggest problem I have with this theory, the more that I've thought about it, and is that, in Cape May, Reddington tells this story about the woman who he loves, that is my love, my heart, and how, he lost her, and then we have the situation with the kiss.
Yeah, okay, so that's the thing. Okay, so let's say that the real Katarina and Reddington are siblings, and then we have imposter Katarina or imposter Reddington, and they shared that kiss. They would both know, even if they're imposters, that they would be siblings. So why they would be doing that? We're starting to get into sort of Game of Thrones, cable show kind of relationships. We have to remember that this is NBC, and I seriously doubt that they are moving into a situation where a sister and a brother are sharing a kiss. I don't think that's what's happening here.
There was a time when I was trying to be like, okay, well, maybe Reddington is like Katarina's fraternal twin, and maybe this person knows that Katarina who he's kissing is an imposter, but
then they would have to know that the original ones, the real ones, were having that kind of relationship. And again, this is network TV, so I just don't think that that's where they're going.
I don't think it's where they're going either, but once again, everybody loves a good twin theory. Mm-hmm. It's a fun thing to sort of think about how things could work, but we know that Reddington supposedly shared a romantic bond of some sort with Katarina. He's telling that to a figment of his imagination in Cape May. He had no reason to lie at that point.
Unless he's in some sort of situation where he has told so many lies and so many stories to so many people that those lies start to become truths. I mean, that happens.
No matter where you go with your theories, whether it's Real Red, Red Arena, any of the other things we've talked about here, like, the important thing to note is that, the Blacklist is a complicated show, but I think in the end, I think it's going to be more simple than I think a lot of us really realize. I don't think they're going to spend, 4 episodes playing, the Benny Hill song, watching us try to run around and catch up all these little clues that we missed along the way.
That is Matt's favorite song to sing around the house when things are going crazy.
Anytime things are messed up, the Benny Hill song always works. It's like the pie in the face is always funny. It's just that the majority of Blacklist viewers are not up to date on the lore and all the intricacies of it in the same way that a lot of us here are at the channel.
Yeah, I think the show is going to want this to pay off for everyone. So people like us who are deep into the lore, people who have been watching since season 1 and maybe have watched every episode all the way through. But I mean, this was we're talking seasons and seasons ago. People are not going to remember everything. So the reveal has to be satisfying to everyone, which is why I'm in the camp of it's just actually Reddington.
Yeah, we're on the same page here then. I think we both believe in this. I think it could still veer totally off course and we could get the pies in the face. But you know what? I'm willing to take the pie, mostly because I love pie. But
no, I think it's Reddington, but I do also think that Liz is the person with the archive. So I think it's sort of a twofold where he's coming because he's Reddington, he's her father, he cares about her. Also, he knows that she has this thing that's really dangerous, that people will be after her, and he needs to be protective of her. There is a love there.
There is a love there. I still have questions, but they can explain everything. But let's hear from you guys. There's nothing we all collectively love more than banging our heads against the wall trying to figure this out.
Let's do it together, guys.
We're all in it together. Give us your theories on this, and if you guys do enjoy this video, subscribe, give us a like, and support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we will see you here next time.